Hello and welcome to the Gotham Outsiders presents The Better Cut. Seductively dancing out of a gorilla costume, I'm your host, Bat Obsessive Chris. And driving his motorcycle down a giant naked man statue, my co-host, TJ.
Hello, I am TJ, your Chris proclaimed Batman acolyte.
We have puns, elaborate costumes, and so much neon to navigate, but we can't do it alone, so we brought in YA author Adam Sass!
Hi! Yes, I would like to be introduced as Leafy Eyebrows.
yes, that's how we'll only refer to you from now on.
Can I be the second gorilla?
Bane in a gorilla costume?
Yeah, I'll grunt a little bit.
yes, you can.
Yeah, no, listen, I've forgotten so many important things in life. I will never, like on my deathbed, I will remember the eyebrows, the Leafy eyebrows.
On your deathbed, like Alfred.
Oh my fake deathbed. Oh my God. Even as like a kid watching this movie, I was like, they're not killing Alfred. Like I was never like afraid for him. I was like, not Alfred. Like I was like, all right, I'll skip to the part where he like isn't dead.
Right. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna live forever.
But like, please, oh my God, Zack Snyder's Batman and Robin, it would be like Alfred.
He's already dead before the movie ever starts.
Robin is dead.
Right.
No.
It's just Joker going like, I killed Alfred.
Right. He like succumbs to his injuries and then like somehow comes back to life, but then he's like run over by a car again, like something like that.
They use a mother box to bring Alfred back instead of Superman.
Oh God.
Yeah. That Snyderverse is very like everyone is fridged. Everyone is fridged all the time. For
Yes.
You can't even say one character is fridged. Like there's just like everyone is driven by pain.
Just constant death. Just constant.
Oh Lord. Well, Adam, thank you so much for coming on. I will plug your book here. Surrender Your Sons. I read it and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Surrender Your Sons out now. YA thriller about queer kids overthrowing violent uprising at their conversion camp on an island. It's very heavy topic, but tons of like cool fun stuff and funny characters to make it go down easier. It's very it's a digestible version of a heavy topic thing.
Yay.
Great, check it out.
For real.
Thank you so much. I am all about digestible, which is, I think, one of the big things I will say sets like why I will always love Batman and Robin versus the newer, darker stuff. Like, even if it's like technically like the script is more sound or whatever, like I'm always just like, well, it's just way more, I just can enjoy, I'm having a good time watching it. Like there's
I don't think
like, it's fun to look at.
I don't think any of the Snyder movies are better scripted than this.
I haven't seen it, so I'm only talking. I mean, I could watch them tonight and be like, oh my God, I love this. I gotta walk back all my public comment.
It seems unlikely to me.
Seems right. Well, just in general, I don't like this. But this is not even a specific to Zack Snyder thing. This is a very much the aesthetic of now. Which is like, I do not like everything looking like sludge.
Yes.
Like this, 1000%. Like, so Batman and Robin, I've said a million times, I will say it again. I will, when we can all safely reconvene in a gay club somewhere. I was like, the first person to do a gay club that has this movie playing on a loop on mute in the background with bullshit gay music. Like just thumpa music, like it will be the best experience of your entire life. You will love this movie just purely because the visuals are so exciting. You have this blue neon Mr. Freeze light up suit, like there's all these images sticking in my like color. And I think these new movies are just so washed out. So like in general, I'm a little anti the new movies just because like they're like, it's Superman, but like it's like his suit is kind of red.
This is why I like Shazam and like Birds of Prey and Aquaman. I'm like, colors. We can still do colors. I thought we lost those.
Snyder's like, here's Wonder Woman, but you can't really see the colors in
like,
her
is
outfit.
it red? I can't even tell.
I mean, that's my thing. I mean, we weren't going to get into this, but like, I enjoyed Wonder Woman 84 for this season. I did.
Look, is it problematic? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it colorful and fun? Also, yes.
Colorful and fun, and it brings in another thing, which I was like, oh man, even Marvel's not doing this right now. Which is, it brings in non-science. Like it's this is a wish stone. It's magic.
There's no explanation.
If this was if Marvel was like doing Wonder Woman 84, and I love Marvel stuff, but like if Wonder Woman was doing, if they were doing this Wonder Woman movie, if they had to do the script, they would have some weirdo science, pseudoscience reason the wish was happening and he was getting stronger. It would be some astrophysicist would have to come in and do this really yeoman task of like having to like say like here's no, the reason it's happening is the radio waves from the Big Bang. I'm just repeating what they made poor Darcy do in WandaVision. But like, and eventually I was glad they just were like, it's magic.
Magic.
And you mentioned drag. Like, I have a note in my notes here about the scene with the gorillas, which we already mentioned, but like, it's such a performance, and like, someone has to have done it as a drag performance.
I
right?
hope so. I hope so.
You could intercut like Rude Judge's panel reactions.
My gosh.
Everything, and it would be, you wouldn't miss a beat.
Somebody done that. I hope somebody has done that somewhere.
There's that whole gorilla like striptease.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how I described it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so like memeable. And I remember someone did, I think it was Slayerfest 98 did when in the summer when Chromatica came out and we were all doing the Chromatica 2 into 911 drops. Where it would be like, oh, okay, now the beat's gonna drop into 911. They did that with like the gorilla suit taking off, and then like when the beat dropped, when Poison Ivy like falls backwards into the men.
Oh my gosh, she walks over a bridge of men.
It was amazing, and I don't think the tweet is up anymore because like weirdly the Gaga music team was like yanking every video. Which, I don't know.
Rude.
We can't get into that, but it's rude. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, yes, I know it's a leak, but like, oh my God, it's making the single irresistible.
Exactly. Right. Can we talk about how this movie starts with just like butt?
But we're not gay.
Yeah, just straight up ass and codpiece. So the very first thing we see.
I was gonna say, I was like, this is the origin of like, I was like, okay, all right.
I thought you meant they were saying, but we're not
gay. No.
It's literally
no. It's
just like
butt.
Chicks dig the car, and I'm like, no homo, right off the bat.
I know it feels like a step back from Batman Forever, right? Because Batman Forever was just like, sure, yeah, let's be gay.
I know it was I think that was a little more palatable. This is definitely, I don't know, but like you could not escape the 90s without some sort of little goddamn like no homo thing. Like you couldn't do any, like literally, yeah.
Did they get notes? Like why did it change between movies is what I'm curious about.
I mean, listen, every historian over time, like you could have 10 historians working around the clock every day for years and we'll never
crack this code.
Exactly what was going on with that script. Because it definitely went into this really hardcore. They were starting to like nudge into that with Batman Forever, but then they went fully into 60s Batman.
Yes.
Which I still think 60s Batman is the superior camp to this. I'm a big fan of 60s Batman. I have a big Blu-ray box set sitting right behind me right now. You can't see it. Big fan of it. I think everybody should if you have not followed the account, I think it's called like Batman 66 Signs on Twitter. It's literally an account where they just tweet out the very literal signage in across all the 60s Batman movies and shows.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds great.
And it's literally like I know the most obvious one we all know from the movie is like Bat Shark Repel.
Right.
But no, there's like literally like it's the like just look it up. It's I'm telling you, it's just glorious. It's like like it'll be the Penguin putting them in like an ice box, and it'll be like it'll called like like the sign just says in block letters Penguin icebox machine. Like it just is very like it's so literal on everything.
Love it.
And
I love it.
They have that across every villain. Everybody has their own like literal sign. Like in the Batcave, there's all these signs, and they change constantly. It's like on the level of Simpsons sign gags, where it's like you'll never keep up with them. Like they have a whole account, and they constantly posting.
Amazing.
Yes.
We love a gay Batman, so
yeah.
So how do we? Speaking of which, how do we feel about George Clooney's Batman?
Yes.
Well, I know how he feels about it.
Not fun.
He has not been quiet about it for years.
I know he said something really recently that was basically like,
really?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, still calm down, sir.
Yeah, like I think they were talking about how Michael Keaton is coming back for the Flash movie, and like someone asked him like, and he was like, "Fuck no."
But how do we feel about him? Because we've seen a bunch of Batmans at this point.
I mean, obviously, he's like, if you're gonna pinpoint my least favorite part of this movie, it's probably him.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like he just doesn't look good in the suit. He looks uncomfortable in the suit. He doesn't
fall into the role at all, right? He's just George Clooney. It's like, who's below the Batman mask? It's George Clooney.
I liked his voice. I thought it fit the part well.
Sure. I guess I feel like after watching Batman Forever, I'm like, no, Val Kilmer or bust.
Okay, so you wanted him to come back.
I know. Well, I wish we had somebody on the level of Adam West was playing at Uma's level, which is she understands the assignment.
Yes.
She digging in.
She knew what this was.
Right. I feel like, and that was Adam West understood the assignment during Batman original, and he was always, and he like dug into the yes, all right. Like he kind of really made this like sly, suspicious character. It was a very, very Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
I feel like if you had put Jeff Goldblum,
oh my God,
97.
Like, yes. Hold on.
Fresh off of Independence Day, Jeff Goldblum in this sort of like, it would be. We would be talking way differently.
Can you imagine Jeff Goldblum like in the Jurassic Park scene where he's laying down with his shirt open, but Batman?
Well, we know what your buttercut looks like.
What'd you say?
We know what your buttercut looks like.
Right, it's just Jeff Goldblum. I would actually bring Val Kilmer back. I loved his broody turtleneck.
I know, he was great. But he was great for Batman Forever. I think I don't think he would have been correct for this. This needed an elevated.
It needed a daddy.
It needed it. Well, yeah, it needed a dad, but like it needed somebody with. It needed a weirdo.
Yes,
like
I think
it needed a weirdo guy.
George Clooney's too smarmy, and he's
normie. Yeah, he's too normie.
And he winks the whole time, like he's winking at the camera almost the whole time. And I'm like, no, you can't. You can't be in on the joke. You have to be in it.
Yeah, the joke has to be on him.
Yeah, but he was like, I know this is ridiculous. Like the whole movie, like, oh, isn't it funny? I'm in this movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like it needed somebody who, gosh, I mean, I feel like Jeff Goldblum is the closest answer.
Yes. I was just thinking of Eddie Redmayne in Jupiter Ascending. That's the energy. That's what you need to bring to a movie like this. You need to be like, fuck it. I don't need a reputation after this.
Yeah. I was forced to watch that movie recently.
I know.
Is he not the only good part though? For real?
You're not wrong.
I know. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, band men, because like it's so rare to find like, I mean, like it's you could find a million actresses who are like, yes, I'm clued into the genre. Yes. I'm doing the thing. I'm knowing that like I'm pivoting.
Yes.
I'm pivoting my internal vibe to this new thing. And I feel like it's a way shorter list of actors.
It's almost like men are not usually required to do as much.
Ooh, they don't have to. Are you suggesting that cis straight men do not have to code switch in their daily lives and thus are not as good at this job?
It's almost like, just what if we imagined?
Right, but what if?
What if? It's over. I don't like these allegations.
Well, Adam, we asked this question when we covered Batman Forever. Who is the sexiest Batman, and is it George Clooney?
See, I don't know. See, I don't know. See, like none of the Batmans are my type. I would say, but like, I would say, I don't know, of the existing Batmans, on looks, no clue. But like on personal like attitude, I would say Michael Keaton. I would say like he's. I feel like he's the most nuts. And I feel like this needs like, because I feel like Val Kilmer and George Clooney and Christian Bale were too, and Ben Affleck, lump him in, like we're way too, I'm a sane guy. I'm just a jerk off.
I will push back on Val Kilmer because that man was traumatized as fuck. He was just like dissociating right and left.
Right.
Chase Meridian loved it.
Chase Meridian wanted to fuck that traumatized client.
I'm not gonna negate that. But I do think Michael Keaton was the most outwardly like,
yes.
Oh, maybe we should help him. Instead of letting him do this job.
My thought was, wow, he's probably real freaky in bed.
That's the thing. Like, it's just like a little like when he in the first movie is like he's confronting the Joker without any weapons. Like in that scene where he's in Vicky's apartment and he's confronting her without any weapons and like super impulsively is just like, I'm gonna smash this bowl of popcorn. Like he just has like a fit. Like in the middle of this room, and even the Joker's like taken aback.
Yes,
that's
really true.
So interesting. Yeah,
that's really. And this Batman is like way too cautious. I was like, what is going on? Like, because Batman has a plan, but he's not careful. He's usually pretty like, hands on. But this one's like, right. This one is like, no. What if we talked about it, Robin? I was like, talked about it. Who are you?
Last time I was team Val Kilmer, but I don't know, George Clooney. I'm not into daddies, but he looked really good in this movie.
I guess.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't want to disagree with you on your own show. But,
no, you're fine.
Please
our whole audience just loves to just.
I don't know. Like
tell TJ he's wrong. It's okay.
George Clooney, I've never gotten it. But
I guess I get that he's like technically handsome in a technical way. Like I could tell that aesthetically, technically, it just I don't know. I don't get it either.
I mean, to be fair,
it's very in a lab. It's not.
I'm just defending him. My real answer actually has changed, but now it's Ben Affleck. After watching the Snyder Cut twice,
yeah.
Listen, it could for me end up being. I've never been into Robert Pattinson in my life, but like could be him because I feel like he's got this smoky eye now. And they're letting. Finally, we're letting Batman just take his mask off and have the fucking eye makeup already.
Right. And also, like Arpats has a chaotic energy in real life that I'm hoping comes into the part.
Yes, I agree. Yes. I'll be team Arpats as soon as that movie comes out.
I am ready.
Well, we know Trump is, so I think he's really awaiting. Yes.
I forget about that sometimes and just remember it in a cold sweat.
It's terrifying. I think Batman needs to be a little like this is a little too like Robin's the wild one in this one. He's like, right his bike too. whatever the conflict, the stupid conflict.
The conflict between them was dumb. I agree.
So dumb. I just like it's just one of those things where they're like, well, they need to be bickering, and I'm like, not really,
like, but they could be like in the comics they do bicker, but it's usually about something. This was just like, what is a partner? Which, by the way, like you guys need to define your relationship earlier than this. Let's just.
I know. That's like it feels more organic when Poison Ivy starts like love pushing them or dining them, and they're like doing kind of the boys' mind with her, and they kind of go back and forth. Like it just that feels more like natural and dangerous, but like in general, like that's not really the conflict between Batman and Robin.
Right.
It's weird because like obviously Batman's never had a problem putting children in the field. So it seems strange for that to be the conflict. He's like, oh no, you might be in danger. I'm like, your child soldier is in danger. Yes, that's correct.
He's like, I'm deactivating your bike in the middle of this farm.
That seems like, so much more
so dangerous.
I was like, he's gonna crash and die? Like what are you
gonna roll off the arm?
The arm of the giant naked statue.
There's nothing below. Like it's just like he's not gonna like slide to a smooth stop. I guess he does in the movie, but like if this was real life, like I'd be like, oh, that's a very terrible place to stop his bike suddenly.
What is the symbolism? Like, I can't even quite make sense of the symbolism of him being stopped from riding his bike down the naked bicep of a giant man. Like, I
don't know, but yeah, he kind of like wolf growls up at him later. Like,
we just need to unpack some things.
It's very aggro, but it's like very gay aggro. Like it's very like it's all very like if you've watched any like hyper mask.
Teen Wolf.
It's just very it's very like I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna make any assumptions, but like it tends to be very like hilariously like what do you do? Like it's this. It's like drag, but for masculinity. Like it's really hyper.
Yes.
It's like stylized almost.
Yes.
I felt like in Batman Forever, there was more of the ambiguity of like, what is that relationship? If you want to read into it as queer, you could. And in this one, it's like, nope, he's his dad.
Yeah, kind of like they course correct, but confusingly, because even the very last conversation, they're like, "You're my partner, my friend, my brother," and I was like, "Do you not,
my boy?
Are you not sure?" Like,
right.
Bruce is like having an active moment of crisis. He's like, "I don't know what you are to me."
So in this movie, I feel like with Batman and Robin, had they had a little slinkier, even just keeping Val Kilmer, who had a little more of a cat energy, could have made like, ooh, there's something going on with Robin, and then but now Batgirl's here. Ooh, but they're into Poison Ivy, but are they into her because she's queen, like, or whatever? So I feel like it is. I feel like Clooney is the problem in this movie.
Yes, he makes the movie straight.
Yeah, he does. Like he's the spoiler. He's the cooler, and like
I can't imagine him being queer at all, which is like.
No.
It's so interesting because if you watch like Ocean's 11, Brad Pitt is hitting on him the whole movie, and it's like it just bounces off.
Oh my god!
You know what I'm talking about?
Like you're singing my song. This is what I'm saying forever. Like I'm just like Brad Pitt in that movie.
He wants it so bad.
Eating in every scene, and like look at his thumb. Like he's having nachos, and like what?
He's like, I want you to love me.
Yes.
And George Clooney is like, we're buds. He's like friend zoning him so hard.
That's the thing. It's very true. I don't know, and I don't. It's a shame because what other actors are bringing like all this different like charisma energy, and he's just like Dean Martin.
Yes, he has a very specific straight guy charisma that does not work for me at all.
I feel like Ben Affleck has the same energy, but is used better.
Yes,
because.
Agreed.
A lot of times, sometimes. But like, I feel like it's specifically, I would like to see a type of movie like Gone Girl where Clooney's in that role where he's like his energy is interesting when it's getting clowned on.
Yes, like, I think that makes sense.
Because like he's normally like the dude who's kind of always in control. I mean, I know we've seen that differently with Michael Clayton, but like if there was like this really out of control wild energy, like super dunking on him.
Yes, I think that would make sense.
Well, now I'm questioning myself. Like, why did I pick the two straightest Batman as my top hottest Batman?
No, I don't think Val Kilmer is the straightest. Oh, you said no. He said Ben Affleck.
I said Clooney and Ben Affleck.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
I'm a traitor.
In your defense, yes. I think Ben Affleck in the Snyder cut and in the original Whedon cut is giving an "I'm in love with Superman" performance a smidge. So in your defense,
hey, listen, it's one of those things where the only scene that exists in the Snyder cut for me, and I keep in mind I have not seen it. I have only watched this scene because somebody told me to watch the scene, and it's the scene where Aquaman is in the lake and like the local townswoman like smells his shirt, and I was like, I had to see it.
The only reason to watch I don't watch the 4 hours, but if you wanted to skip some scenes and jump in, watch it for non-binary Ezra Miller bringing queer energy to the Flash.
Great. Sure,
we love that.
I tested my thing is I'm like I haven't seen it, but I'm really like I was like, oh man, is there energy just like bouncing off of no one? Because
Yeah.
I just
Yes,
can't
yes,
imagine.
yes.
Yeah,
1,000%.
It feels like it's just like, wow, there's all this charisma, but like, ooh, it really only works if it's like in a hall of mirrors where it's bouncing off.
But yeah, there's not enough gay chemistry for them to bounce off for sure.
Yeah.
Even though they do grab literal wieners out of the Speed Force.
Listen, here's what I said. So
Yeah,
Kill TJ.
Does grab
back to Batman and Robin. Yeah, I'm beside myself.
It's true. Look it up. It really happened.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's sort of that like Nolan energy where like he kind of started bringing this sort of like everyone's attractive, but you can't imagine anyone being like attracted to each other.
Yes.
They don't fuck.
They don't fuck.
But there's like a great piece that was out. It was an article. It was a think piece like a few weeks ago, and it was kind of talking about in general all movies right now.
Right.
Where it was called, I think the title of it was called Everyone is Gorgeous and No One is Horny.
Interesting.
Where it's about like, yeah, Captain America, rip muscles, but like anytime there's like, and we were talking about this on the WandaVision recording of Slayerfest was that we were like, oh, but are they they're just gonna have, if they bring Wiccan in as an adult later, he'll just like have his boyfriend and then like maybe he'll kiss him on the cheek once and hold his hands. Right. And I was like, that's all any couples do in MCU. Like that's all anybody. There's no nothing. Like
the MCU is sexless.
It is like they will like absolutely like shotgun a character into the chest, but like you're getting a pet.
I know. It's sexless, and yet they won't give me an asexual character. Why?
I was just gonna say, I was like, well, if we're gonna do that, let's do that.
Let's do it.
But they're like constantly being like, yeah, I'm so like, and they'll make sex jokes,
right?
And they'll be like, yeah, I'm horny, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Whedon hiding the cucumber,
right?
Oh God.
That's the thing, but here's the thing: like, there's all this like super like all these actors are just like HGH'd out. But like no sexual energy.
So sad. Meanwhile, there's these movies that are like so horny.
So horny.
The last one definitely was Batman Forever is much worse because Chase Meridian is ready.
Chase Meridian. Okay,
I
was the kid who had the Chase Meridian ? Poster.
Yes.
And that was my proof to my whole family that I was straight. I was like, no, you should have seen my bedroom. It was like full of these like slinky lady posters.
Oh my God.
But it was all like Charisma Carpenter.
Right?
Like, yeah, like, it was just like one icon after another.
Like, I want to be her. All right, let's talk about the villains because we have not talked about Mr. Freeze.
The villains are the only thing that matters in this movie.
Yeah. The Anti-Batman movie, by the way.
Period.
I do not care what is going on with Batman. There's so many, that's a upper funnel problem. Is that I'm like, this is we're paying way too much attention to Batman. Right. He is just, and this was something I said frequently when doing my rewatch of the animated series, which is, and it's especially great since Kevin Conroy is gay. Like you were able to a little bit more easily sort of imagine this sort of dichotomy, which is. Batman is at his best when the stories of Batman are basically this really pent up mask for mask gay is just furious at all the queenie gays around him. And I had a thread on everything like that, but it was really, you could really see it in the animated show where he's like, there's a lot of like, he's like, ooh, I just hate the, and like you have Penguin as this sort of like New York literati gay, and you've got the Joker's who the Joker is, and then you've got like Mad Hatter's the Disney gay.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, and then you got Poison Ivy, who's the like sort of like lesbian who calls me out on my shit, and I don't like her either. Like,
that is such a good point.
Yeah, and so it's just him being like the most toxic person in the community.
Yes. Yeah, I think these movies really make a mistake in trying to convince us that he cares about any of the women.
I love the part at the end where he's like, yeah, I'm attracted to her too. That's how I know something is wrong.
Right, that was the last movie, right? At
the end of this one with the pheromones.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's like, something's wrong because I'm attracted to her, and that's weird.
You're right. Oh my gosh, asexual Batman continues to rear his head.
He's like, something's happening.
I felt a attraction, so it doesn't seem right.
What did you guys think of Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze?
Legend. I don't know. Like I'm saying, like it's like bad, but like purely camp. Like he knows what stupid movie he's in and doesn't wink. He's just in it. Like,
yeah, I feel like I haven't seen this since I was a kid. So this is like my first adult rewatch of it. And the things that stand out are like his moments stand out to me in my memory. And I remembered it being so much bigger than it was. And as I watched it, I was like, this is actually not a like super broad performance. He has a lot of emotional moments and like quiet moments that are kind of surprising and actually really well done.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, agreed.
This is like I love the ice puns, of course.
I love it.
Good
so
excuse.
yeah, I just love that he's just really committed to doing the art because he has sounded more coherent in other movies of that era. Like,
yes.
I feel like he is leaning into the Arnold like hyperization of himself.
Yes.
Here.
He sounds like he does in his Christmas movie, that really terrible Christmas movie.
Oh, Jingle All the Way.
Yes, he sounds like that.
Yeah. So it's like good, and I don't know, you just like his face is like very clearly silver.
Yes,
not
I loved
frozen.
It.
It's just like silver paint. It's like it's like Detox All Stars 2, like silver. Like this is like painted, so it's great. And and then he's like talking about this crap about like the cure. I need the diamond for the ice to the cure. Like it makes no sense. Like,
I know. I love the psychobabble of my lasers that keep me cool. Which, first of all, you're what that keeps you cool?
The diamond.
With the diamond, do lasers typically cool things? I am
right. And he opens this little sort of like garbage disposal contraption on his wrist. He just sort of dumps like diamonds, like Zale's diamonds down.
It's so good. Incomprehensible, and I love it.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like he's sort of the definitive Mr. Freeze for me. As much as I really love the animated Mr. Freeze, the Mr. Freeze storyline is so where it starts to bend from classic into classic stupid. Because it's the most stylized. I feel like he has the neatest weapons.
Yes.
Every hero has like a cold villain.
Yeah, that's true.
There usually is. There's like a Captain Cold. Like there's like so many
Captain
different
Cold.
Like, right. There's like so many of these different things. But I feel like Mr. Freeze with the sort of like glass domed head and all that. I just think he's doing it.
Have you guys watched the animated series movie with Mr. Freeze? And
I watched it for the first time this year because I kind of had aged it by like the late 90s. I'd sort of aged out a little bit. I just got way too cool.
I heard they made it like in response to this movie being made. They were like, coincide and we'll make this. But then the response was so negative to Batman and Robin that they like delayed the release of the animated one. But
it's so long. Like it comes out like years after. I feel like it comes out like years. It came out like in 1988, I want to say.
They wanted everyone to forget. What do you think of Mr. Freeze? I understand this is a favorite of yours. Yeah.
That it is or isn't?
It is, right?
I don't know. I mean, I loved this movie as a kid. I'm kind of like in the middle about this Mr. Freeze.
Oh, I thought you really liked this one for some reason.
I mean, I think he does a really great job committing to the campiness and like all the ice puns are a little much for me, but they're fun. Like he does what he has to do. But I mean, I'm just here for Poison Ivy. Let's be real.
I know.
Shall we like pivot to our queen?
Please. I know we were talking about who's the sexiest Batman, and I'm like, literally never had a thought sexually about these Batmen. But I will narrow in precisely the villains that I would like drop it for. Yeah.
Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, yes, please. On top. Yeah.
She is.
So Adam, I know you're Buffy Angel. Basically Fred and Illyria. I had that thought watching this. I don't know. She just goes from the nerdy scientist to the sexy superpower.
Okay. So I have thoughts on this because this is exactly Catwoman's story in the Schumacher movies too.
Oh,
I was like,
well, those were Burton.
It's our Miss Cheetah story too.
Yeah, it's a common story, but I feel like these movies are supposed to be in a series, right? I'm like, just 2 movies ago, we had this exact plot line, and basically superpowers are almost dying and then getting hot.
I love the mousy to femme fatale trope because this was me. I was a shy, gripped with anxiety, frightened of my own shadow, like quiet, no one could hear me speak above a whisper, glasses, like not dressed well, not looking in the eye. And all I wanted in life was to overnight become this like hyper confident person who could just get the whole room together. And now I have but so I'm always very, very fond of this trope, even though it's like mega.
I feel like I think this one works. I really don't like the Catwoman one from 2 movies ago, like at all. But this one, I was like, okay, her deal here is she gets sexually harassed by her boss and comes back as a person that wants to kill men. I'm here for it.
Yes, sexually harassed by very gay. This guy, like he's. I mean, so John Glover, gay person. But like this is like again the campiest guy ever. Right. So that's kind of one of those things where I was like, gosh, wow, you have like the boss. I was like, okay, that's pretty.
Can we talk about his line of "I'm not good with rejection. I'm afraid you're going to have to die."
Right. Yes. That's what I was dying. I was like, "Oh, great, he's an incel."
Right. What a nice guy.
So then I was like, "Okay, kill him. I'm with you." Right. She has so many moments too where she's just like, "What if we kill all men?"
Yeah, like. So I was on her side completely until 100%. She like pulled the plug on the wife. I was like, I could have done without that because it makes me not like her a little bit.
Right.
But like,
just without that, you wouldn't have the iconic, like, as I told Lady Freeze, line where she's like, sitting on top of Batgirl. Like Batgirl gives any shit.
Every line. Every line she says is iconic.
It's true. I feel like that's a thing about this movie that I find very entertaining is I was on the villain's side for most of the movie. So we talked about this last time. Mr. Freeze is just like, hey, healthcare in this country is the worst, right? And I'm like, yeah, it is, man. And then Poison Ivy's like, men suck and we've got to do something about climate control. And I'm like, yep, you're right.
Yeah, she has a line and out of context, it's like, why should we just stop with them? We need to look at the society that created them. Like social issues happening right now. Like, take that out of context. That applies to a lot.
That scene where she approaches Bruce Wayne and she's like being very reasonable. It is just like, I want you to look at my plan, and he dismisses her offhand. And then she's like, fine, I do want all men to die. I was like, this is how I feel when I get dismissed also.
I know we keep saying she's doing drag basically, but I thought it was interesting that like the drag she was doing was to be a quote normal person, and then like herself is like what we do as drag basically.
Yeah, I love that. Again, like the Riddler in the last one, her costume gets bigger every time we see it.
Yes.
Like more elements, more bedazzle. Her hair is taller. I love it. I don't know when you're doing all these changes, but yes, queen.
I don't know who's styling her because you can't get into that get up yourself.
Oh no, yeah, it's Bane. It's Bane, right?
It's Bane. Okay, no, I want to talk about Bane because
please.
Bane, every iteration of Bane is my husband. So like that Bane is the guy. No, I'm
this
like legit, including this one. Yeah,
this one that has no brain.
Yeah, no, it's very. I know it's very problematic of me. No, I think that's one of those things where I feel like I want to see like I want to see like an Instagram artist like do like there's this Bane is having a cute cup of coffee with this scarf guy.
That's Harley Quinn, the TV show. You've got to watch the Harley Quinn TV show. That's Bane in that.
I know, I do want that because also like King Shark is kind of that one too. Yeah. So I just need my like listen, I don't care what it is. I kind of need my like kind of like big cuddly bad attitude guys to just
right.
who are awful to everyone but them.
I mean, this Bane is awful to no one. He does nothing wrong.
Listen, he is a prisoner who was experimented upon.
Right. Oh yes, I suppose he did do bad things before. I forgot he was a murderer. But as I declare, he's done nothing wrong in his life.
He has done nothing wrong after the serum.
After the serum, he genuinely does nothing wrong. He's like her butler. He follows her around and he drives her around.
He puts his fedora on over the mask.
So good. I think I did not remember Bane was in this movie at all. I literally gasped and I was like, he's in this? Wow, there's a lot of villains in this movie.
Yeah, I just rewatched The Dark Knight Rises recently and I'm like, they've really whitewashed Bane. And then I watched this one and I'm like,
Yep,
they watched Bane again.
Bane. I don't think any depiction of Bane has been a person of color, except the comics, obviously.
Yeah.
The animated series, it's voiced by a Latinx guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At some point, we will talk about Dark Knight Rises and the fact that it literally whitewashes every character. But sure.
Well, that's who we're dealing with.
Yikes, Nolan! Yikes.
So yeah.
But Poison Ivy just saying Bane, dear, all the time. I was like, yes.
So cute.
And she's doing that, Alaska as Mae West.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, how'd I do? She's really oh my God.
You know,
in every scene.
It's my turn to reference an obscure movie now.
Please, that's all I want.
Have you ever seen the Scarlet Pimpernel movie that came out in the 90s?
I have not. No.
You need to. It's very gay. It has Sir Ian McKellen in it. But the Scarlet Pimpernel's whole thing is that he's basically in drag so nobody knows he's a superhero. That's his whole deal. And the voice he does is the exact voice she's doing. I could not unsee it the whole movie.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
So I think last time we unanimously agreed that the Riddler was the standout of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Ivy.
Okay.
It's Ivy.
Oh, it has to be.
It's Ivy.
Okay, good. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Obviously. At some point we should probably talk about Batgirl, who has about 5 scenes in this whole movie. But yeah, it's Ivy.
Boy. Yeah.
Really, again, talking about what I actually remembered versus what actually happened. She was a lot bigger in my memory than in this, and I'm like, wow, she's barely in this movie, isn't she?
Oh, Batgirl.
She is, and this is the rare Batgirl is related to Alfred.
I know it's canonical that he has a family outside of the Waynes. He has a daughter that exists in the comics, but it's always weird to me that he has a family outside of the Waynes, that he's this amazing father, except he abandoned his family to do it, basically. And that's kind of the energy we got going here.
100%. And that's definitely the thing where, they couldn't make her Barbara Gordon because they had done absolute zero with Commissioner Gordon up to this point. They really didn't have a character.
So what's her last name here?
Is her name Pennyworth?
No, it's Wilson. It's some blankety blank. Yeah, it's Barbara Wilson. She's
not, I like reinterpretations of characters frequently, but she's very, very different than Barbara Gordon. She reminds me of Stephanie Brown.
Oh, I can see that.
Right?
Oh, okay.
My ongoing quest to recast the characters as the characters they should be.
At first when she popped up here and we find out she's stealing the bike, I was like, okay, that was a cute subversion. Yeah. But then the longer it goes on, it's she's not like other girls.
Yes. Okay, thank you. There's a bit of I hate to once again bring up Whedon, but there is a bit of a Whedon lead going on with her in this, where she has to be tough and and then she slut shames Ivy so hard, and I was like, girl, take several seats.
It's a little that, yeah. It's a little that. Well, and not to bring up Gone Girl for the second time, but this is the cool girl monologue.
It is. It is. She is the cool girl.
She's the girl who can hang. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you give women a bad name, and I was like, no, Barbara, come on. Like, can you chill?
Right.
Ivy has done nothing wrong.
She's like, she's having a good time.
Right.
That's it.
We're like, the audience likes Ivy, not you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do not have our allegiance.
Yes, I wanted to like her, but she does nothing, and then has this whole like big emotional scene at the end where she joins the team, and I was like, but why would they let her do that? I don't know.
I think my big problem with Barbara in this movie is that none of her relationships jive with me. Like with Alfred, it just feels weird, and they're like holding hands, and she's tucking him in. She's
really condescending. Like Alfred is he's a tough motherfucker. Like he does not need you to tell him what he wants with his life. She shows up and is like, you've been miserable and I'm gonna save you. And Alfred's like, no, and no thanks.
Right. But to be fair, he is like 100 years old. And she's like, why do you have this old man doing everything for you?
It's what he wants. Let him have
but there's something like so like each of them infantilizes the other. Like there's these scenes where it's weird where she's given this like really like little girl dialogue of like they don't have fax machines on it, elephants, because I could see a precocious like early 90s Mara Wilson being forced to say that. But not like a grown woman who then like the next scene is like Becker and she's gonna go biker it up with Coolio.
This goes back to the
go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say this goes back to the how old are Robin and Batgirl supposed to be?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh my god, 30. They're all 32.
They're they're silent. It's like this movie wants them to be old enough to sexualize them, but young enough that they're like still his kids. And I'm like, that you can't. You've got to pick a lane. Like, what is this?
Right.
Well, I mean, that's every Batman iteration. There's always like, oh, how old are the people supposed to be? Like, I mean, like there's so much like with the Tim Drake. It's like he's 9.
Right.
Like
forever 16.
Yeah, he's been 16 for a long time now. Even though his brothers are aging, it's fine.
That's and it was like in the cartoon, it's like well, Dick Grayson is in college, and that felt like the most appropriate. But like, has anyone ever gone to a college within the last decade? Because like those kids are young.
So speaking of Dick. The relationship between him and Barbara here, like, what do you think?
Falls flat.
Yeah.
Very flat. Yeah, nothing.
It's just wah, 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 wah.
All right, we'll move on.
I mean, if you have more to say about it, sure, but it's like really boring.
No, I have nothing to say. That's why we're moving.
I was like, do I have even a note about their relationship? I do not. They're at the end, that ending scene where it's like, we're all gonna be partners, but partners means family. That was so unearned.
Ooh, not good. The energy has been sucked out of the room just
by
like
Barbara
did in the movie theater. Yes.
Honestly, I think the movie tries so hard to have emotions and it really can't, and I don't know why exactly. I felt like even to keep comparing it to Batman Forever, I feel like they had actual emotions in that. Like Dick Grayson's sorrow was real, like of his parents dying, like there was emotions. And this one, it's like we're barely worried that Alfred's about to die. Like even the conversation where Bruce is like, hey, Alfred's dying, which by the way just is how he says it. It's just, he's gonna die though, and they're like, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's like, you're always taking Dick's side, and I'm like, well, after that laundry scene in the last movie, can you blame him?
Can you blame him? He does have a sweet line there, which is again unearned, like all emotional moments of this movie. But he's like, what is Batman if not an effort to master the chaos that sweeps our world?
Oh, can we go back to shit talking Barbara for a second?
Yeah, of course, at all times.
So he's like, she came all the way from England, and I'm like, why doesn't she have a British accent?
Is she? Well, she's not from England, is she?
No, I don't know.
She was just studying.
But like, if her like close relatives are British and she was studying in England, there's no way they wouldn't come back with like an affectation.
That's a good.
This Alfred is British, point. Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So like they had to have lived there.
All Alfreds are British, so yes.
You had me second guessing myself.
They were
I lost my mind for a second. I can't. Feel like my brain will not acknowledge that they're related. Is the problem?
Yeah, there's a real uncanny valley to like all of that.
It is. It's true.
Yeah. All Alfreds were British. They were all sort of like, they were all sort of posh until Nolan, like just basically everybody since Nolan has been like an East London kind of like northerner, just kind of rough voice, kind of like Alfred.
The Snyder one is much more posh. He is better. I like him a lot.
Who is Alfred in that?
I don't know, TJ. Who's Alfred in that?
In the Snyder cut?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh, is it Jeremy? It's Jeremy Irons. Okay.
Yes, it's Jeremy Irons. He's really good at it. Yes.
Oh well, then okay, great. Then that's better. I've been like seeing this like cavalcade of like.
Yeah.
Like the cast of Sexy Beast, like being Alfred one after another. So.
Yeah.
Adam, was Chris O'Donnell your sexual awakening?
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna say like maybe. Here's the thing, I want to validate that because it is a very real thing, but like yes, for me, I feel like I'm creating a narrative here for young me that's very much like like the more like the nastier personality was like kind of needed for me to like be like, oh okay, you're interesting. I feel like Chris O'Donnell in this is in Batman Forever for sure. Very dashing, very
he is more charming in that movie than he is in this one.
For sure. He's older in this but whinier in this.
That's true. The scene where they're bickering over Poison Ivy, well, one of the many, but when they're both betting on her and he's like, I'll borrow the money from you, I'm like, no.
I was like borrow it for like just take his own
just
money.
$6 million.
I'm gonna borrow $6 million to beat you in an auction. Right. What the hell?
Not that Bruce can't afford it. I just feel like all the gays in the 90s, we owe Chris O'Donnell a little bit of something.
100%. I was like, well, I think like you owe. I feel like Gambit. Let's talk about Gambit. Let's talk about Anthony Gambit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about I feel like if we go in that direction, like the person who's like actually like pissing people off.
Yeah. So I agree and definitely second that George Clooney is not at all gay in this, but there are a few lines that make me wish he was. Because there is one point when he what's her face that has no purpose in the movie except I assume for this line, which is the woman he's dating. Which also
McPherson.
It cracked me up.
Supermodel, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it cracked me up quite a bit where they're like, you've been dating a long time. And I was like, they weren't dating in the last movie. It can't have been a long time, but sure. But she proposes to him and that whole conversation, she's like, I know you're a confirmed bachelor. And I'm like, confirmed bachelor has one meaning, and it is gay.
Especially in the late 90s, where we were all made aware of it.
Right? I was like, ma'am?
I have to point out in the scene where Poison Ivy shows up with her plan to present to Bruce.
Yes.
His girlfriend there is dressed just like Daphne from the live action Scooby-Doo movie.
She is.
She's got this nice lavender matching sort of set. Yes.
Right. Okay. We talked last time how like I wanted a Scooby-Doo live action crossover. Like missed opportunity. It could have been Sarah Michelle Gellar right there.
You keep this agenda going here.
My agenda is always Sarah Michelle Gellar and or Scooby-Doo. So
it's fair. The other really gay line though is Chris O'Donnell's line where he goes, "This is the first time I've fallen and you haven't caught me."
I feel like in this movie, Batman and Robin are giving off the energy of that gay couple who's about to break up and everyone them.
100%.
Where it's just like, oh, you guys don't even fucking enjoy each other's company at all anymore. Like you're just like it's bickering, but it's not even like funny bickering. It's just like
it's uncomfortable. Like like you guys need to really have some counseling or something. I don't know.
It's like everyone knows it's over but them.
Oh, it's true.
Just like,
It's so bad Alfred had to die to get away from it.
right.
Except
And then they
let him.
They bring him back.
I do love that he prepared a jigsaw video for Barbara. Like,
yes. What on earth?
Right.
I do think it's interesting that this Alfred is also just like so on board with all of the like vigilante. He's like, I wish I was out there, which is very different than Alfred usually, who's like, I will patch you up, but I hate that this is what our life is, is usually his kind of vibe. And this one, he's like, if I could put on spandex, I'd be there too.
I mean, it's always best when the Batcave sort of has a Broken Hearts Club vibe where it's like there's the older gay who wishes I enjoy being around y'all's energy and whatever makes me feel young again. And then you've got the like kind of sort of like middle-aged sort of troubled gay, and then you get the younger pipsqueak. It definitely feels like there's that vibe going on. You really get that sense in a lot of the animated series episodes where you're just like, oh, I mean, this is just like 3 generations of gay dudes hanging out in a house.
The shots when Barbara finally puts on the Batgirl outfit and we get like the butt shot, the titty shot, like usually I would be like, but we did the same thing with the men, so like I was fine with it.
It hits different though, because like with the men, it's like we're used to seeing ad nauseum in movies like the TNA shots with women, but this one it was subversive to be like, oh my god, we're just gonna like zoom in on this guy's like cup,
right?
And then like the very defined like cheeks, and the nibs. This was just like, all right, back to the way we usually do.
You're right. This movie has a complicated relationship with feminism overall. What? Between the like, slut shaming of Ivy and the, cool girling of Barbara, and also this movie and the last one have a bit of the virgin whore complex going on. Like there are 2 women, right? There is always only the whore and there's always only the virgin. There's nobody in between. It's complicated.
I will say one good thing about Barbara, which is that scene where she's being the damsel in distress and falling and Dick catches her, but then she's the one to save them. Like, I thought that was cute. I don't know if I'm being naive.
Oh, like reverse. I mean, okay.
I guess I like it as an idea. I did kind of like, when she's the one fighting Ivy, I was like, oh, that's why she's in this movie. So that George Clooney doesn't have to punch a woman. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how it read to me, but you're giving a much more generous take, and maybe that's fair.
I just thought it was cute. I was like, oh, here we go, she's the damsel, and then it was like, no, I've got you. And I was like,
but if she had fought a man, maybe, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, oh, okay, there's a woman bad guy, so there must be a woman hero. This is the rule.
That is, but that's like really a thing.
It is really a thing, yeah.
And, I've been noticing that for like the longest time. I was just like, oh my god, we're just like, and I was like, that is one way to like sort of force another female character into a script, is to be like, well, someone has to like hit her with the tree branch. Like,
right.
That was not going to be, right.
The Supergirl TV show, like every main villain was a girl for a long time.
Yes.
And like, to bring up Joss Whedon again, but I always have to bring up Buffy. But in Buffy, like so many of the villains were men. Like, and to me, it's weird when we only have women facing women villains. It's odd.
Right, and there's a way. Like, I get that the optics of Batman punching Ivy in the face would have been bad. But he's supposed to be a genius. He could have stopped her without punching her in the face.
That's the thing. There's like ways to do that. That's different. And it's one of those things, because then you do end up with like, if anybody's seen, like there's like the YouTube compilation of the Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage, where he's just like sogging women in the face. It's just like, it's not good.
Right. Like there's a middle road, guys. Like the world, there is a middle road here. I feel like the Harley. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I was gonna say, I feel like the Harley Quinn TV show literally comments on this, that you have to fight the villain, the woman villain has to fight the woman hero. There's a whole conversation about that, because if the woman hero beats a man, well, that's a problem. We can't allow that to happen.
It's so
heaven forbid.
loaded. Like, I'm trying to think of recent examples, and I think like sometimes like if you have like in Last Jedi, if you have like Finn fighting Captain Phasma.
See, that worked for me.
Right, because it's one of those things where like, well, I mean, she's like completely disguised. You wouldn't, just be but
that's true.
But we're getting there.
What was your guys' favorite part from this movie?
Do
you have a favorite scene or general theme?
I really liked Mr. Freeze's like ice cave situation where he was watching the cold miser and had polar bear slippers on.
Yes, which I owned a pair of polar bear slippers with diamond eyes. Yes, back when they had Warner Brothers Studio stores.
I love it. It was cute. I think a lot of the Freeze stuff hit really well for me. Like when he makes somehow a music box out of ice of his wife, bafflingly, but it was cute. I don't know.
That's the thing. It doesn't have to like be realistic. Yeah. Like it just has to like be like, ooh, that's visually cool.
Yeah. And then anytime Ivy is like calling out sexism, that was like, yeah. Yes, queen. At one point, she calls them the militant arm of warm-blooded protectors, and I was like, love it. Right after she calls a cop a fascist bulldog, I was like, this queen, we love her.
That's great. Justice again. I mean, and Uma is like the one actor from this movie who's not like publicly turned against it. Like she's really. I remember vividly, like a few years ago, her like doing an interview about it, where she really kind of went for people like about it because she really was like, she's like, I think, obviously there's like script problems, just like there are in like every other movie out there, but like this became such a lightning rod for people because it has a really queer, feminist sort of aesthetic to it, and people skeeved that and they go for the jugular on that. That's what they did with this movie. So like I don't super love how gleefully people go after this movie.
I agree.
We stand a queen.
Yes.
She did. She was just like, I am a fan of my own. She's like, she did the work, she did the job, she did a good job. This is a fun movie. Remember fun.
Remember fun. And then no notes. My favorite scene is probably the classic, the gorilla suit striptease. Yes. TJ, what's your favorite scene?
Anything with Poison Ivy. Like that gorilla scene is up there for me.
What about when Chris O'Donnell enters her lady garden?
Oh yes, that whole scene. I do have in my notes like that scene where he says plastic lips was like foreign to me when I was like 5 years old. I would watch it all the time.
That scene and line is one of the things I remembered.
Yes, it's so good.
I love how the whole botanical gardens like auction scene, from the gorilla suit to the striptease to like her like having all these like Fabio men kind of like do a bridge across the floor. She doesn't like touch the ground.
God, I know, it's wild.
It's really wild. And then you have all these like billionaires in tuxedos really jiving on it.
I know.
As well. Like every actor in this scene got it. And I really credit that to Uma again. Because like when you're on set with somebody who is like really vibing, catch the vibe. So I think that's why a lot of these scenes play, like scenes that are really strongly led by Uma.
Yeah. They are the best.
Work better because I think that energy is very contagious and you catch the vibe. When she's not in it, then you're just like left with having a bunch of dudes figure out how to do genre.
That's really true.
Right.
There are just so many good moments, like the bat skates popping out of their shoes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I really hope they have bat wheelies too. Like
yes, the credit card, them surfing in the sky on debris. Like
hilarious.
Well, how would you guys make this a better cut? What would you do different or indulge something that you really want?
Well, right away, George Clooney's gone. gonna do my millions of dollars Snyder recut and cast him as someone else.
Fair.
Listen, Goldblum. Okay, we get
I
Goldblum
think you're right.
in. We get that era Goldblum in.
I'm on board.
He plugs in to the genre like nobody's business. So really does. I think that leads a House of Cards feeling.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The tone work. Yeah.
I'm on board with this casting. I think I would just like I did with Batman Forever, I would change who Barbara is and make her Stephanie Brown because it makes more sense. Also, it'd be cool if her background was that she had a villain father. I think that'd be fun. There's enough villains in this movie. You could keep it happening.
Yeah.
I would have thinned it out. I would have done the casting the way I just said, and then I would have just not done Batgirl at all. I would have let Alicia Silverstone have a very thriving rom-com career she should have had.
Yes.
And not be like super kneecapped by this film. Because I feel like the wrong people went down for this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's another that's worth unpacking any other time. But I probably would have I would maybe flip it so that like I don't know. I don't feel like Schwarzenegger would have done like a supporting role, but I probably would have had him be the main villain,
right.
And so I probably wouldn't have done Bane, even though like R.I.P. my boy Bane. Yeah. But I probably would have just gotten rid of. You don't like 3 is too much. 3 is too many heroes. 3 is too many villains.
Yes.
So like remove. That way you just are just clean having this, and have I don't know, have the action be driven more. I would have liked to have seen Poison Ivy's plan for world domination.
I agree. I think I would also I would fix whatever the conflict is between Batman and Robin in this and give them something interesting to be mad at each other about. Like, I don't know. And they have plenty of fun arguments in the comics to draw from. The fact that they've made up this ridiculous one is wild. So I don't know. Maybe.
Ooh, I got it.
Yes,
okay.
Give it to me.
So the botanical gardens thing kind of opens the movie instead. And then we kind of get, we get flashbacks about Poison Ivy, why she's here. But instead of like, you shake off that pheromone, Robin is like fully hypnotized for like the first half of the movie, and he's doing the Bane work. Like he's driving her around, and he's like, so Batman and Robin are split up first half of the movie.
That would be so good.
She's got him in the clutches, and then he's sort of this like kind of zombie driver guy who's enforcing stuff. So it kind of turns into like, what would he do? He would have to fight Robin. I think Batman should fight Robin.
Interesting.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do, TJ?
I feel like you both have said the main points I would make as well, but so I'm gonna go off of something we said in the last episode, which is I want to see the Gotham City Sirens. Uma Thurman killed it. Michelle Pfeiffer, I thought, killed it as Catwoman. Can you imagine them in a scene together? And we had the genius idea last time to bring back Chase Meridian and make her a Harley Quinn. Like, I want that movie.
It's right there. It's right there.
Itself.
She's crazy. She's a therapist. It's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, like give me that movie. I want to see that.
Right. I love that your pitch is just to do away with this movie entirely and do a different movie.
Well, that's also valid. Yes.
I feel like we're taking the best thing from the movie and just elaborating at that point.
Yes, I'm fine with that. So we ask every guest we have on the show, if you could write your own Batman story, no holds bar, we've locked DZ editorial in a closet and they can't stop you, what would you write?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always felt like the Riddler needed a makeover.
I am listening.
Makeover. So I'm very into the Riddler. I feel like they only did a few episodes of the Riddler in the animated show.
Yeah.
They did kind of a Gonzo version of him. I feel like it's very easy to kind of lose track of who the Riddler is.
Yeah.
So I would do. It's funny enough. I had a story that a Riddler story that I wanted to pitch to DC, I wanted to do like this YA version, and it was one of those things where there was a shakeup this year on the planet, so it was one of those things where I think they had enough like kind of changes in there, and the idea never really went anywhere. But it was a Riddler story I pitched. And that story now actually got a second life as a short story that's going to be in this anthology from Linktr Press next year. So if you go to my page, it's called Reshadow, and it's in this anthology called Out There. It's coming out May 2022. But that story, fun fact, was originally going to be a YA Riddler book,
like a novel, like a prose novel.
It was going to be a novel, prose novel,
and so exciting.
I was going to bring in Chase Meridian as like a kind of there was going to be like a teen Bruce, a teen Chase, and then Chase was going to have a gay brother named Charlie.
Yes.
So we're going to have Charlie Meridian, and then him and like teen Edward Nygma would have like kind of a thing going on.
Oh my God.
But all would not be as it were. So this is something where I feel like Riddler is best in like sort of a mind bendy sort of situation. So in Reshadow, which is, and in this Riddler story, it was about basically the Riddler being in like this very elaborate escape room. So it's a kind of a what is reality episode of animated series plus kind of like a Saw, like your ass has to escape this or else kind of thing. So it would be the Riddler actually like trapped himself in this sort of world. And everybody in it, I think that was sort of the thing. So it was I was so excited to do it. Yeah, it was really like this kind of like epic little story I kind of made up, and I was like, wow, what if he just like kind of like his plan? Because the thing with the Riddler is like he like this is kind of the Joker's thing too, but it's really more the Riddler where it's like he's obsessed with being the smartest.
Yeah.
So he's obsessed with like it doesn't even matter to him if he kills who he needs to kill, or if he escapes or not, or if he goes to jail or not. Like he prefer not to, but like really what this is about him gooping Batman. Like he's supposed to just completely stump him. That's his goal. So I thought that I'd be like, wow, what if he like kind of created a thing that was like so big, that like oops, it scooped him up too. It was like he like got so over ambitious it like trapped him as well. So
I love that. That's so
you
good.
Said he was gonna have a thing with Chase Meridian's brother.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I love it.
You could have just
it was going to be a quartet, so it's going to be those four characters trying to get this deadly room that the Riddler had just like got them all into.
That sounds amazing.
You could have just started with "it's gay," and I would have been like, "I'm in."
Right.
But everything else,
the Riddler is very queer, and I was like, if there's
absolutely.
one character that people would not be like freaking plucked about, because I know they already kind of went there in Gotham, the show.
Right.
So I was like, that feels like a natural. Like I wouldn't be like ruining anybody's life if like I made a person gay.
Right.
So.
And plus,
not that
forever,
I care, but like
Batman Forever, he was absolutely a drag queen.
Oh, please.
So.
In love with Bruce. Well, that's an amazing pitch. I'm glad you got to use it in some way though. That's awesome.
Yes,
I can't wait to read that.
Thank you so much. It's going to be it's a totally different thing, but it kind of like the idea of the escape room sort of like kind of grew from that. And there is a character named Charlie Meridian in that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for coming on. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
You can find me most of the time on Twitter at theadamsass. I am also on Instagram. I'm trying to get a little bit more active on there, but like I'm pretty much doing like once a day. But like if you really want to see like my like constant like way too much content, it's on Twitter.
Your Twitter is hilarious. I love your Twitter.
And then you can find my debut novel, Surrender Your Sons, pretty much anywhere you buy your books. If you go to my website, adamsassbooks.com, you can learn more about Surrender Your Sons, get bio links, and also about the story I just pitched to you, Out There. You can't pre-order it yet, but you can add it to your Goodreads, as well as my second novel, The 99 Boyfriends of Michael Summers. Sorry, it was originally called Michael Winters, and we changed it to Summers. But
would that be a Buffy reference?
Yeah, well, I really wanted it to be. I love the name Summers, so it's like very like Buffy, Cyclops,
I
felt like
that.
a nice, like I felt like a nice, like kind of upbeat, kind of like positive.
Yeah.
He's a very, like, because again, my character in Surrender Your Sons is a little more acerbic. He's a little more like a little surly. Yeah, Micah Summers is a positive lad. So I wanted something that kind of jumped out, and of course Buffy Summers we all love. So 99 Boyfriends of Micah Summers, that is a rom-com that's coming out next fall, 2022. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, lots to come. So yeah, adamsassbooks.com, you will be able to keep track of everything that's kind of coming up. Next year will be very busy. That means this year I'm very busy writing everything.
Yes.
Congratulations for everything. Well earned.
Thank you.
Yes, that's awesome.
Thank you. And then hopefully one day, they will like have to retcon my Riddler idea.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted so badly. Yeah. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh, this was a really perfect opportunity to do this story. And it was kind of fully formed. So
DC, if you're listening, Adam is available.
DC, get me in.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, my pleasure.